Stop it! Stop it! Hello and welcome to not an episode of the podcaster's Guide to the Conspiracy. There is no episode this week due to the fact that, well, it's Easter holidays here at the podcaster's Guide to the Conspiracy and most of the West. And thus we have nothing prepared. And I say we have nothing prepared. Josh has been off on holiday with his family members and has only now just returned back to work to check emails about whether we're doing a recording this week. Unprofessional, Joshua. Unprofessional. You'd never see me be unprofessional on this podcast. You wouldn't catch me being riotously drunk on the podcast last week and thus being an Epicurean delight for Josh to edit into a video. No. That would never happen under my watch. So shame on you, Joshua. Shame, shame, shame. Yes, this little recording is simply going out to remind you we still exist. So there's no dead air between one week and the other, but also to say that there is also no episode this week. And I'm not even going to do a news update, because frankly the news update is mostly about that Mueller report, and for the time being Josh and I are still of the opinion the Mueller report is something we're just not going to report upon because it's Trump-related news. Although we can talk a lot about the way that people are reacting to the Mueller report without having to talk about Trump himself. Because basically, both sides, the Mueller report exonerates the president, and the Mueller report shows obstruction of justice and possible collusion have actually occurred, seem to be rival conspiracy theories at this time. And the only way to sort between these two conspiracy theories would be to engage in a long read of the Mueller report, which is over 400 pages, and large chunks of it have been redacted. And so, in part, we're holding off dealing with the Mueller report until such time we have time to read it, and also in part because we're waiting to find out what Congress are going to say when they get access to a less redacted version of the document, which of course is going to lead to further conspiracy theories as to whether Congress can be trusted because it's Democrat-leaning, etc., etc. Frankly, the US electoral system at the moment seems like a prolonged joke that should have ended quite some time ago, and can we go back to normal operation, please? Otherwise, in the world of the podcaster's Guide to the Conspiracy, Josh, as I said, has been off doing family-related things. I've spent the last few weeks working on chapters for book anthologies that I'm currently contributing to. Book anthologies is not quite the right word there. I suppose you should say collections I'm contributing to, but now I'm thinking book anthologies, anthologies of books, not just chapters, books. I'll put that on the back burner for work later. So yes, I've been working on a chapter looking at the theory of conspiracy theory when you're dealing with Eastern European post-communist policies, a chapter looking at whether David Icke and Alex Jones are sincere, and a few other bits and pieces. I'm still working away. I've written 2 chapters already this year. I've got a 3rd chapter which is going to be submitted in about 2 weeks. Then I've got an academic article I need to write on my own personal views as to how we should deal with the so-called notion of debunking conspiracy theories, and hopefully next week I'll have some exciting news about a new project which I'm working on, or at least hope to be working on. That, of course, is all coming up in a future episode of the podcaster's Guide to the Conspiracy, which I will remind you, this is not an episode of the podcaster's Guide to the Conspiracy. In fact, what this is me just basically talking into a microphone, vamping to fill up time, to make this seem like a worthy download or amount of time you might spend flipping between one podcast and the other. And given that I'm just nakedly using up time now, maybe I should just let you go and listen to some other podcast. I mean, you could be listening to Bunta Vista Social Club at the moment, a great Australian political podcast I wholeheartedly recommend if you happen to live in Australasia. If you're outside of Australasia, the political shenanigans of what's going on in Australia and also here may not interest you as much, but if you are in the region, Bunta Vista Social Club is one of those socialist podcasts which I'm actually quite happy to listen to. Some of the socialist podcasts that I sometimes listen to make me somewhat embarrassed to be a socialist, but that's another matter for another time, and I'm not going to mention names. I'm just going to go and you know who I'm talking about. So with that subtweet in a podcast, which isn't a tweet, and this is not an episode of the Podcaster's Guide to the Conspiracy, I'm going to let you go. Maybe you're going to have some dinner. Maybe you're going to have some breakfast. Maybe you're going to combine breakfast and dinner. Although why you do that, I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. Bye!